Hello, welcome everybody, I'm One Proud Bavarian, and this is the time-lapse of our Sparta campaign after I myself consider it to be done. Now, I understand that a lot of you, maybe, you always want to see World Conquest, you kind of always want to go in there, and you want to see it fully fleshed out, everybody else around us in shambles. I personally have never done those series, because I kind of just get bored at some point, when I notice that we're too powerful, you can already see Frigga is landing in Sparta, if you remember correctly, then in the last episode, at the end of the last episode, Frigga declared war over one of those island nations against Sparta. I personally never really saw the appeal of going in and just having a playthrough where you essentially dominate and, like the last 2/3 of it or something are just you mopping up the map. I would rather just, start a new playthrough, do something else. And with this playthrough, since this is the first one from, the Imperator playthroughs that we're doing, this playthrough will convert to being Crusader Kings 2. In particular, I can also already name it because I had a poll, I was interested in both mods. We're going to play, and they took Athens. The Phrygians took Athens for sure. But we're going to play after the end. I'm very excited. The series starts tomorrow. It's hopefully going to be very interesting. I've had After the End on the channel already, but that was 8 months ago, back when I had like 200 subscribers or something. Shout out to all of those subscribers, by the way. You're the ones that are still here anyway. And that was a great time. I had a great experience when I did that, and I played the pirates in the Caribbean. I had an actual Jack Sparrow dynasty. It was a great fun, but we're not going to do that. We're going to do something else. I hope that we can make something exciting out of it. I'm also excited to return to Crusader Kings 2, of course. But other than that, we also have the other Imperator series still running, and I think that we are going to keep that as a permanent Imperator slot, because I am having a great time with the game. I really enjoy it, having, being able to spend time with the game, even if it is new, or especially if it is new, I guess is the proper way to phrase it there. I'm just simply very excited for what is to come when it comes to that project. Ooh, Armenia just blobbed a bit, and you can see in the east, almost, I believe, coming in. I don't know if Sparta's gonna hold on. I like to tell stories, Imperator Rome, my first 2 playthroughs here, were not that story heavy. I have to focus more on that, I think, more flavor and so on and so forth. We can definitely do that. I see the potential in this game when it comes to flavor and role-playing, the way I do it in CK2. Oh, and Rome is killing Sparta. But I see that potential more in this game than I see it. Oh, wow. Did you see that? They just ate most of Lucania, and only parts of the boot remain. Sparta renamed to Arcadia, Jesus. Yikes, that's disgusting. So the way I see it, we're going to take a look at, different approaches in Imperator Rome. I'm going to finish the Rome campaign at some point. It's not going to go, that much longer either. Once you're kind of steamrolling everything, it's all done. But with Rome in the Imperator campaign, I at least have some stuff to do. With Sparta here, I could have beaten everybody. I'll be honest with you, I was at a point where there was no contender. But in the Rome game, for example, we have Macedon. Macedon still being the force, which might even get annihilated today, I'm not sure, but still being a force that is like, kind of a fresh face. They made their way up. Carthage is done. Once we support the rebels, they will be done, and so on and so forth. I want to move on after that to a bit more role-playing when it comes to the series that we do in Imperator Rome. I think there's a huge potential there. I'm going to take it a bit slower, because if I don't take it slower, then we will always end up with like 12 episodes and everything that I need to be strong conquered. In the future, as Rome, or as any other republic for that matter, I will also avoid the oligarchic government. It's just too powerful, dude. The ideas that you get, the national ideas, are so good for commerce and national citizen output, as well as wrong culture happiness. It's insane. It bumps you up so much further. With all that being said, I think the Sparta playthrough was a really fun first playthrough next to the Rome playthrough. It was great. We had Agathocles, of course, under Areus Agia, defending the honor of Sparta, even though they are now kind of falling down, getting a bit of a nosebleed, currently being beaten up by everyone. Oh, and Macedon lost to Phrygia. Thrace has fallen apart. They were so strong not too long ago, and now they're only in Crimea and Moldova. The tribes in the west in Gaul are standing quite proudly. Oh, and I think, yep, there goes the boot. Arcadia has lost the boot. Calabria, interestingly enough, as a city-state, still exists. Whereas we now only hold, most of Greece, I would argue. Sicily, Crete, and that's probably it. Maybe even the islands. I don't know if we hold the islands in the Western Mediterranean or in the Central Mediterranean. But I like to tell stories, where you don't go out and do a full world conquest. I like to tell tales of people that go through hardship and overcome it, hopefully. Now, once we come here to a point where, you know, we're just too strong, there is nothing that could reasonably speaking stop us, I think it's just time where you say, you know, this is it. This is it, friend. We've done it. What I like about this game, now we haven't seen it here with this Phrygia. Phrygia has been extraordinarily stable, which they of course historically were not. Phrygia got sandwiched by all the other Diadochi, but usually realms collapse, and that is something we haven't seen in EU4. We don't really see it often in CK2. I know that the Muslims have the dynamic of the whole, you know, what's it called? It's called... Oh my god, I'm stuck. It's called Decadence. There you go. It's a Decadence mechanic. And that one is really cool because it's supposed to kind of bring down Muslim empires, which can outblob everybody else because of the good succession law. But it never really happens. We also never really see any empires split, you know, beyond the odd pagan empire that does form and then splits once the sons all get their share. So I feel like this is still, you know, I like it. We have the Seleucids fall in this one. We have ourselves fall. Jesus, are you seeing this? We're being utterly destroyed by Macedon, no less. That's just embarrassing. Where are the armies? I wonder, you know what? I wonder. We can check that in a second. We're gonna go in. So this is already pre-recorded. Time-lapse went on for like several hours, you know, it went on. And I just had it run. I didn't look at it. And the way I see it with this time-lapse is I want to check out afterwards what the Spartans did. Because I assume that they did not use any elephants in any way or any camels. Because if they did what I think that they... Oh, and the UK looks actually quite nice. But if they did what I think they did, they probably immediately, once I tabbed out, gave away the camels and the elephants and just, you know, got some stupid, silly trade deal instead. And that definitely destroys... I mean, that's just destruction of an entire nation. Well, that didn't really seem to end with any annexation, did it? Am I blind? I don't think it did. Phrygia standing tall. Now, it is quite nice. It is quite interesting because the Antigonides, which is this, you know, it's Antigonos. Oh, they're back. Phrygia is back in Sparta. But, you know, when they kind of, after Alexander's death, consolidated their territory, they were the only Diadochi that had a serious claim and a serious will to push that claim towards being the successor state to Alexander, not just one of them, you know, Egypt, Macedon, Thrace, the Seleucids, all of them quite happy with the situation as it was, historically speaking, where nothing really was a reason, or was reason enough to move on. Oh my god, did you just... Phrygia, why? Why are you doing this? Well. We did form Arcadia here, and I never did it. But I was thinking about it. Obviously, you know, we can't move our capitals as of now. It will come in a later patch. I think I'm going to use the mod in later playthroughs. But I was thinking, right? It moves a capital to Arcadia. You can't move it back. What if you depopulate Megalopolis? Would that lead to you automatically flipping back to Sparta? Because I could definitely move out every single citizen from that province, right? But the question is, could you resettle it without having your capital go back there as well? It would probably go back there, let's be real here. But generally, I really like how empires can actually collapse in this game. It's a lot of fun, it's great, I really endorse that. But what I don't endorse at all, and that is one of the bigger things that you see the later you go on into a playthrough, and we're seeing it here as well. Rome, in all its might and with all its power, never actually goes against its main contestant. So the thing is about Carthage even. Carthage has a decision that makes it so that you can form Nova Carthago, which is in southeastern Iberia. That city sits on precious metals. You know how amazing precious metals are? It's practically like you have a second capital. You have a second Carthago. I mean, which it literally is, but you know what I'm saying, right? It's amazing for all of when it comes to income, research, manpower, whatever you choose it to be, right? Wherever you want to go. And it doesn't... Like, the AI just doesn't focus on it. It focuses kind of on going into, you know, North Africa. You see them kill Massilia, you see them kill, you know, the southerners in Iberia, but they never actually go for the territories that they need for the requirement of becoming, you know, a main power. I mean, Carthage becomes an absolute power after Nova Carthago has been founded. That is also, you know, kind of the tipping point where the Romans had to intervene, where the Romans had to go for Eastern Iberia themselves in their Punic Wars, which did historically happen. They kind of pushed back the Carthaginians wherever they could. and you don't really have that rivalry. Rome always just goes north, they just go towards the Alps, they just go towards Gaul. I think, I saw the end result of this. You're going to see this in this time-lapse as well. And the issue with that is that you're essentially looking at a game set in the Mediterranean that doesn't play out in the Mediterranean. The Carthaginians, they literally don't even go for southeastern Iberia, which isn't far, but they go for South Iberia because, and there you go, Rome. And look at Arcadia. I mean, you know what? Don't look at Arcadia. It's too sad. It's just too sad. Our dynasty's falling. The Argeads are being punished. And what it comes down to at the end of the day, for me at the very least, is that Carthage expands based on their baseland, which makes no sense. They should be interested in overseas colonies in Eastern Iberia, which are actually, you know, useful, instead of going for the useless land in Southern Iberia. It limits them. It limits them and it limits the game. And they definitely need to do something about that when it comes to, you know, AI priority, when it comes to AI behavior. Because otherwise, there's no reason for Rome and Carthage to clash if they go into paths that just 100% avoid each other. You know what I mean, right? And by the way, Arcadia, RIP. We still hold Crete. We hold parts of Crimea. And Sicily. Alright, well, that's an achievement, I would argue. But I hope that you get my point. I like the mechanics of having an empire fall. You will see this in the Rome playthrough, at least I hope so. If I can finance the rebels there anytime soon, then you will see that, you know, it's quite easy to kind of bring down an empire if you weaken them initially, which doesn't happen in EU4 or any other game like CK2, for example. They always just, you know, keep existing, and you need to push them further and further instead of just letting them crumble. I like that about this game. I like that the Seleucids, by the way, still exist, so they have at least this tiny kind of Mesopotamian empire over there, and they are being a bit expansive as of right now as well. Macedon, re-blobbing. I didn't see it coming. I mean, Phrygia took Pella, so they took, you know, the core part of Macedon, and yet Macedon goes around beating up everybody else. Oh, and we just lost Crimea to Syndica. That's fair. But yeah, what it comes down to me is, you know, if you have a game focused on the Mediterranean, I hope that that is what they do with 1.1, where they have the good old, you know, boats mechanic kind of expanded upon, kind of pushed further towards, you know, being similar to the complexity of the land warfare in this game. And if they do that, I mean, it could be, you know, we all played Stellaris. I love Stellaris, it's a really good idea, but the AI, let's not even talk about the performance, but the AI is helplessly broken. Stellaris is a game with, I always like to kind of characterize it as a mess with a lot of good intentions. So a lot of things in it are broken, a lot of things are not balanced, are hard to balance, but a lot of it, or all of it even, if you look at it, is a gorgeous dream. It's a dream of a space game that truly gives you an exploratory and also management-oriented focus. And then the AI just can't handle any of it. And I hope that the boats that we will get in June, or at least that is what we have recently heard about 1.1, I hope that the AI gets, like, really on top of what it needs to get on top of. You know, when it comes to when it comes to everything in this regard. And by that I mean, if we get a game where the AI just isn't in any headspace, and look at Rome blobbing into Gaul. The land in Gaul is so useless. It is utterly useless in comparison to the precious metal areas in Eastern Iberia, and yet they go for Gaul. It's always the same. It's always the same. And Sicily was also just lost, or at least partially lost. Did Arcadia transform into Crete? It might have. I'm not sure, but, you know, I hope that you get where I'm coming from. That is one of my major complaints. Like, the biggest complaint for me is that the clashes that you would like to see, which is Rome and Carthage, which are all the Diadochi, they only happen ever so rarely. When I played a Seleucid game in multiplayer, I declared war on Phrygia and I wrecked them. I utterly destroyed them. And that made it so, and this is the cool mechanic that I was talking about, that made it so that Phrygia died. They just imploded immediately. Like, you know, just a couple of months, couple of years later, they went on to just implode and never recovered from it. But nobody capitalized from it. The AI is very timid, very tedious. No, not tedious. Very, very timid, very docile. That's what I'm talking about. And we were playing, and I want to make this clear here, we were playing on very hard. This is not me playing on, like, you know, this is too easy and it's on very easy. No. We were playing on very hard. The AI is supposed to go for whatever makes the most sense for it, right? And for Carthage, oh, and look at those, Jesus, all those barbarians. You have them in the UK, you have them in Gaul and Germany, and then you have them in Iberia as well. Holy moly. They're clearing the board here. But the way I see it, yeah, that's my main complaint, I think. I want a game where we see the main clashes as we expect them, and after that, the AI can do whatever it wants, you know? Once Rome defeats Carthage, let Rome blob into Gaul, sure, if it wants to. After, you know, I don't know, the Diadochi, someone wins out, all of them fall, whatever. But I want to see those immediate clashes, because that is what differentiates every single game from each other. If you don't do that, what you get is you get the same game result every single game. You know, where you have Rome just blobbing into Gaul, where you have Carthage just blobbing into North Africa and then into southern Iberia, where you have Phrygia going for a bit but not too much of everything, where the Seleucids implode, maybe Phrygia also implodes, Egypt just sits there, does nothing much. Macedon usually just blobs up into the Balkans, and the Balkans are so useless. Not just in-game, but also real life. Just kidding, of course I'm just kidding. But you know what I'm saying, right? That's the way I see it, really. Where you have a situation where you just have to say, hey, you know, it's kind of... it's kind of not in a position that makes it very trustworthy. In the sense of, you know, kind of going ahead and giving you a gameplay experience that is different every single time. If it's not different, then, you know, why replay it? Why go in yet again and do the same thing over and over again? That's kind of my take on this. But I believe that, you know, they can fix that. I believe that they can give the AI some priorities. I always say, and I would always stand by that position, that Paradox AI coders are the worst off employees, not the worst employees, the worst off employees, because they have to constantly work in new features, constantly get the AI to adapt to player behavior. You know, you can check it pre-release, and Zoebia is quite nice, but you can check it pre-release all you want. It doesn't fix anything for you if, you know, things just don't work out. But just like this, by the way, the Argead dynasty appears to have fallen, and with the Argead dynasty, of course, I mean, man, we were just, you know, just another speck in history, just another nation. It was eradicated by the Phrygian might and the Macedonian anger. We had a kingdom there for a while. We had, you know, a general that was called the Italiad. That was, you know, Agathocles II, if you want. He wasn't actually a son of Agathocles or anything, but, you know, just for the record. And I always liked that. I think that's a neat concept. To have these kind of role-playing smaller kingdoms going on in a playthrough, you know, that's kind of nice. But they have a pretty early expiration date. Oh, look at this. Oh boy. Well. Everybody mad expanding. And Thrace. How did Thrace come back from this? How did they do it? But yeah, that's, you know, that's just my general kind of perception here. I really like the game though. I will continue playing it. I'm having a lot of fun. If I didn't have the fun in the game, I wouldn't keep playing it. It's like with Stellaris on the channel. I've had several Stellaris series, but into every Stellaris series I was like, this is boring. This bores me. Every single time. And now with these, I don't actually have that. I don't have that feeling. I don't have it with CK2 either. So I'm really happy and really hopeful that, you know, we can find some really fun playthroughs. I already got one once the Roman ends. I got one that I want to do that looks fairly tough. And I'm also going to play that on Iron Man. I hope that, Jesus, I hope that they don't, like, break Iron Man mode in between saves or something. But I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to play some CK2, as I said, after the end. It's going to be great. By the way, once this time-lapse is over, which it isn't quite yet, but soon, but not quite yet, but, you know, once it's over, we're going to go ahead and we're going to take a look at the map, you know, in detail. I will go into the game again, and then I will put it together, like the experienced editor that I am not. But yeah, that's kind of my take, and I'm just going to let it roll here. So enjoy the rest of the time-lapse, really. And I'll be back once the time-lapse is over with looking over all the cultures and religions, and maybe the Argeads. I think they still exist in Crete. We'll see. Hello and welcome everybody, I'm Imperator, and well, you know what this is, it's still the same video. And I did notice that Crete is indeed Sparta, or well, should I say Arcadia? Or should I say Crete? I mean, at the end of the day, they did choose the name Crete, and they are still being led by Antiphilos Argiad. And as you can see here, they are not, like he's at least not marrying inside of the family, but they did do it quite often enough, I would argue. Didn't have any wife. Acrotatus, Antiphilos, Acrotatus. Yeah, there you go. So here we have the start of our entire adventure, then Acrotatus, Antiphilos, Philippa. And then the son took over, Antiphilos. And from that... Oh, did they change the family law, you think? Nope, they stayed with familial marriage, of course they did. Interesting, interesting. Yeah, so, well... Not everything was lost after all. The great kingdom of Sparta, the great kingdom of Arcadia did fall, however, and they had to retreat to Crete, now with their capital in Lyktos. Not in Knossos, even that, a bit disappointing, but I will tell you one thing, they held it together. I suspect that the AI, immediately after I left, got rid of all of the elephants and got rid of all of the camels, and just went full on stupid. But I hope that you can understand the reasoning for me finishing this playthrough. You know, this was Sparta. I felt like we had a comfy little kingdom over here. We were dominating our region. We were doing everything necessary, practically speaking, to do whatever, you know, kind of the kingdom of Sparta would do. And in the end, we didn't win. In the end, I think Phrygia is the big winner of this, you know, kind of journey of this tournament. You can see that they're even blobbing over here into the east. I will be back with a different playthrough. Do not fear. On this slot, we're going to switch to CK2, but whenever Rome ends, we will continue playing Imperator. I'm having a lot of fun with this game. It's mostly that I want to look, you know, for a bit of to change it up, I guess. I want to change it up every now and again, and this is part of it. In the culture map mode, we can see this, which I wish I hadn't seen. We can also see this, which is okay. I mean, the Assyrians are, you know, the Aramaics are mostly gone. Other than that, not that big a change. Rome blobbing where, you know, we kind of expected them to blob. In terms of religion, damn, Rome being very, very dutiful when it comes to spreading theirs. We all... Man, this is just like real life, isn't it? Very split in all sort of ways. Extraordinarily split. Other than that, Buddhism appears to have won out. Did you convert to Buddhism yourself? Yes, he did. So the Mauryans accepted Buddhism into their life and made India into a mostly Buddhist country. Interesting stuff, honestly. Civilization level, of course, almost the maximum everywhere. Just primarily because, you know, that's just how it works with the tech levels giving you plus 2% in civilization every time you take up. But I will tell you right now that this playthrough is over. I hope that you understand why I ended it. But even if you don't, I hope that I may see you back in the next series on this channel, in this time slot in CK2. See you then later, alligator.